Welcome back, everybody. And our guest today is Georgianna Donadio, and I'm really excited to have her back here because she's going to be bringing you a lot of great information that I think you really need to know about your health. As an insurance agent, one of my biggest concerns is your health and to make sure that you stay healthy so you can live longer. And we're going to be talking about why it's so important for you to be an advocate for your health. So Georgianna Donadio is a medical educator for over 40 years at the National Institute of Whole Health. She's developed and researched the topic of whole health and being an advocate for the understanding on how you could take care of your bodies. And so we got a lot to talk about. Georgianna, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Well, thank you, Emma, and thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I see you. Can you see me?
I can see you.
Okay. Is my camera on? Because okay. Um, it's a pleasure to be here. I think the most important thing, and I'm speaking as a health professional I've been in the medical system for well over 50 years. I know a lot about it. I know how it works. I know how it doesn't work. And the most important thing people have to know is how do you take care of yourself? What do you have to know? How do you take care of yourself? And what is it you have to do to stay safe? The medical field right now, the medical profession is broken. It's absolutely broken. And anybody who works in the field will tell you, anyone who's been through the system and been through the mill with the system will tell you, you have got to understand what you have to do to take care of yourself and to protect yourself. Look, I love medicine. I've been in it a long time. And when I first started, it was like I thought it was the sun and the moon. I thought it was the most amazing thing. But since there has been, I don't want to say it, but it's true. Since the insurance companies have taken over the management of healthcare, things have gotten a little hairy because it's very much time and money. So things have changed a lot, and as a result of that, we have some not good statistics on how things are turning out, and that's why you have to know what you're doing and how to take care of yourself.
Yeah, like you said, that the third highest, I think it's the third highest statistic for deaths is medical malpractice.
Well, the third leading cause of death in the United States is medical malpractice. Now, it doesn't just mean one thing. It's medical error. If they give you the wrong medication, if they cut off the wrong part of your body, if you die after or during surgery, if they don't attend to you properly post-surgical, there are so many things that can do this. But right now, and we've got the studies on the website. If you want to see them, you want to share them with your doctor, feel free. But right now, people are afraid. They're afraid to kind of go to the doctor. They're afraid to take new medication. They're afraid to have their surgery, and rightfully so, because the numbers are proving after heart disease and after cancer, medical error is the third killer of American adults. I don't know about you, but that concerns me especially as a medical educator.
Oh, it definitely concerns me too. And growing up, probably around 1990, so I was probably like 12, 13 years old. I started having these little symptoms of stuff, like I would just collapse and I had no energy and my muscles
Oh,
hurt all the time. And, the doctors only kind of looked at it as like, okay, well, you know what? You're growing. It's growing super.
growing pains.
Yeah.
Yeah, the growing pains thing. Yeah, yes.
But it turned out to be something that never went away. And it took them years to find out. And that's when I found out I have multiple sclerosis. And so it's like, I kind of wonder how, if they would have found this earlier, would I be in the same position I am right now?
Well, first of all, multiple sclerosis is a lesion. It's a lesion within the nervous system. Okay. And I mean, we could talk about multiple sclerosis. That's a whole other topic. But I don't know if you had multiple sclerosis when you collapsed. If you could walk, if you could talk, if you could move, if you could do everything else, and it kind of came and went, as you know, there is something called a remitting, relapsing MS, but it doesn't usually show up like that. But we could have a whole conversation. So let's put that to the side. Whatever it was, the point is that medicine is not necessarily the best place to go to find out, ask a doctor what your symptoms mean. What medicine is brilliant at is technology. If you want to get an MRI, you want to get blood tests, you want to get any kind of, testing to find out what's wrong with you, medicine is brilliant. We have the best medical technology in the world. On the website, there's a chart that shows what the United States is really good at and what we're failing at. We are not doing well in terms of patient care. We're not doing well in terms of longevity. We're not doing well in terms of cost. We have the highest cost per citizen, if you will, and we have the lowest life expectancy. Go in, take a look at the chart. You can go to Google, you can check it out. But believe me, what I tell you, I'm not trying to scare you, but I'm trying to scare you. Okay. I mean, you kind of got to get shook up a little bit to realize this is your one life. It's your one life. And, 1 out of 3 people every year is going into the hospital for surgery or going into the hospital for a procedure. So you have a very high chance of being one of those people. And if you're going to go in, if you're going to have surgery, if you're going to have anesthesia, you want to know what's going on. Because as I said, not only is it death that can happen, but there's disability, there's all kinds of stories that, oh, I don't want to get into the horror of it all, but you can be disabled because of surgery or because of medical error. It doesn't have to be that you die.
Yeah. And nobody wants to be in that position. So how can people advocate for their health? What is the process in that would make them start to say, okay, I want to be an advocate for this, for my health?
Well, first of all, you have to want to do this. I say, and I speak a lot and I do webinars and what have you. And I'll say often, people will spend more time researching their new car or where they're going to move to or a location or what kind of an outfit they're going to buy. They'll spend more time on that than they will on their investigating and exploring and researching their health care. So the first thing is that you have to be a person who's aware of the fact that healthcare is like everything else. Everything else, whether it's a restaurant or you're going to a store to buy something, look, people are not invested in you. They're not invested in me. Quite frankly, people really don't care that much. We live in a society that's all about speed and money. How fast can you get something done and how much money am I going to get for it? So when you go to a store, and I don't have to tell you this because you all know it. You all go to the store or you all go shopping or you go somewhere and you go, this is lousy service. What lousy service this is. Sometimes if you're lucky, you'll go to a restaurant and you'll get a really nice, wait person. But the bottom line is you have to be invested and say, this is my life. This is my health. I want to know what's going in my body. I want to know what they're going to do. And I'm going to research it and I'm going to find out what I'm supposed to know in order for me to be safe.
I know a lot of doctors, and I've said it too, because I'm like, I looked online and they're like, oh God, you look online, you're going to die. And that's not necessarily the case here, but is it good to look up your symptoms or is that a bad idea?
I don't know if looking up your symptoms is the idea. The idea is to understand what's happening. Look, I've been educating people and health professionals for a long, long time, and you will be amazed. Even doctors do not understand how their bodies work. It's really shocking. If you go into the doctor and you say, "Oh, I'm collapsing," and they say, "Oh, well, it's growing pains." I mean, how do you make that connection from a kid is collapsing to its growing pains? No, no. We have to understand what's going on. So, depending upon the problem, when you first contacted me about this, you said, let's talk about the gut. Okay. What if you have gut problems? What if you have stomach problems? You have to go in and you have to read everything you can about it. What causes a digestive problem? Why is it occurring? Do you fall under that? I want to recommend a book. This is a great, great book for anybody who's concerned about their digestion, concerned about their gut biome or their stomach or whatever. It's called The Second Brain, and it's by Dr. Michael Gershon. He's a medical doctor, and we use this book in our curriculum. You have to understand that everything is connected to everything else, okay? And your gut is connected to all of these nerves that go to your brain, that communicate between brain and gut. When people say, "Oh, I had a gut feeling. I felt it in my gut," "I can't stand your guts," these expressions, they come from the fact that we have very sensitive ways of communicating between our brain and our body. So if you're dealing with a digestive situation, you want to read up on it. You want to look up on it. I'm a big advocate. My big thing now is become your own advocate. We give out free information, a free booklet. You can take a really, really, really inexpensive, wonderful course with all kinds of information in it, or you can become a professional uh, board certified health advocate. I promote advocacy. If you're a mother, you should know advocacy for your children. If you're a human being, you should know advocacy for your own life and your own body. So, education, understanding what's going on is absolutely critical. And please don't think that you're going to go to your doctor and they're going to explain it to you. They've got 7 minutes to see you. You think they're going to give you an anatomy and physiology lesson? No, they're not.
That's true. That is absolutely true. Now, just to show you how crazy it is and how much needs to go into this, right before I got on with Georgiana, she was talking to me about, because I wanted to do the segment about the gut, and I thought that the stomach was included in the gut, and I guess it's not. So these are things that kind of like we need to understand. So, Georgiana, can you just kind of tell us a little bit, a quick difference between what the gut is and what the stomach is?
Sure, I'll just separate this out. A lot of people, the leading cause of emergency room visits is stomach pain. Did you know that? Stomach problems. That's why most people run to the emergency room. They have a pain, they think they're having a heart attack. There's all kinds of stuff that goes with it. It's the number one reason for going to the emergency room. Now, your stomach is wired to your brain differently than your bowel is wired to your brain. It's all wiring. Everything's connected to everything else through the nervous system and through the spine. The stomach reacts to fear. Fear, fear, fear. And I'm sure for anybody who has stomach problems, they will recall that when they're frightened, when something stressful happens, their stomach goes. The stomach is controlled by the vagus nerve, which is this huge nerve. That comes out of the brain and innervates the stomach. And when you're dealing with fear and stress and anxiety, it really affects the way your stomach functions. And that's different from your bowel because your bowel is connected through the mesenteric plexus, and that's a huge, huge network of nerves that run through the lower part of your body. And so when you understand that different parts of your body, all of which are connected to each other, but different parts react differently to different stimuli. If you're depressed, if you're unhappy, if you're angry, if you're frustrated, if whatever is going on for you, it has a connection through the brain body nervous system. But that's why I said they're different. So, in other words, If you wanted to fix your stomach, you wouldn't necessarily be worried about probiotics. I think probiotics are wonderful. I eat a yogurt every single day. I eat a yogurt. And, we get into these habits where we realize what's good for our body and eating fermented foods and, eating slowly, taking your time, chewing properly, and not being upset when you're either eating or digesting. Any of these things, these are really good ways of taking care of yourself. Knowing how to do that, it takes time, it takes desire. It takes desire to do that. You can't just say, well, tell me about it and give me 5 minutes and I'm off and running. We need to learn how to take care of our bodies. And more importantly, I mean, I think every single child, every single adult should have a course in how does your body work and how do you take care of it. It's like a car. You buy a car, you have a manual. You buy an appliance, you have a manual. You have maintenance, you have all. We don't do that with our body. The most important thing in our lives, which is our physical function, and how it's connected to the totality of our life does not get a lot of attention. So as an insurance agent, let me just say this to you. Insurance is not concerned about educating you. And how could it be? It's got a lot of other things to do. So you have to be concerned about educating you. Your doctor's not concerned. Your doctor's got 7 minutes. Your nurse practitioner might have 10 minutes. The people within the system, they're not there to educate you and to help you to prevent disease. We don't live in Japan. In Japan, that's the way their system works. Their system, people go in for preventative care and education. They don't go in when they're sick and they want to be treated for a disease. So I would say to anyone who's interested, please go to our website. We have a wonderful library, an articles library. You can read about a lot of things. Like, why are so many young people getting cancer? Like, there's all of these questions that people have. Well, education is the key. So that's what you have to explore. You can go to niwh.org. We're not going to try to sell you anything. We want to try to educate you. That's the whole point. Let's get educated.
It's funny because when you were talking about the cars, I was kind of going through something in my head. And that is when we have a car, we take care of it. We go out there and wash it. We wax it. It gets a scratch on it. We freak out. But yet, when our bodies, who are absolutely incredible, it is probably the most impressive work of art I've ever seen. When it gets scratched, when we don't feel good, it's
No big
crazy.
deal.
Why? Why is that?
Well, we have to see, these are the things that I focus on as an educator. It's one thing, people are so concerned about their love life and their money and their furniture and their makeup and all of this. And yet they're not paying attention. They're drinking, they're doing social drugs. They may be doing other activities that are putting them at risk. People are risky. People do risky things. And this is an issue that we have to address. I mean, recently I heard about a guy and his girlfriend who used to hang out all the time at a place where my friends were, and they both died. They both got some bad drugs and they died together. I mean, people are doing things that they shouldn't be doing. They're overeating, they're under exercising, they're doing recreational drugs, they're worrying, they're doing a lot of activities that they know are bad for their body. And yet we think, oh, it'll take care of itself. Why? Because our body is amazing and our body does heal itself. So we tend to just kind of brush that off.
Yeah, that's true. Now, I think it's very important that when you have a doctor, your doctor at least listens to you. I've seen so many people where they don't listen. They don't listen at all. And the problem gets worse. So how can you kind of figure out if your doctor is listening to you?
Well, that's a good question. The four most imperative questions a patient has. The number one question is, are you listening to me? Okay. There's nothing wrong with looking at your doctor who, after 12 seconds, has diverted their attention to something else. Did you know that? Within 12 seconds, they're either picking something up, moving something on the desk, making a note. There's nothing wrong with saying, Doctor, are you listening to me? Could you tell me what I just said to you? We're afraid to talk to our doctors like that. And I think one of the things, I've been in the medical system a long time. If you think your doctor is smarter or wiser or more important than you are, you got a problem. Okay. Don't do that. They're just another human being. That's all they are. And they're there to serve you. If you went in to have your car taken care of, would you say, if the mechanic wasn't listening to you, would you say, are you listening to me? Of course you would. You'd say, could you tell me what's going on? Could you tell me what's wrong? But we won't say that to our doctors because doctors, for many years, not anymore, but for many years, they were put on a pedestal. They were like next to God. And our parents' generation and our grandparents' generation, they worshiped them like they were, God. They're not. They're people like everybody else, and they have a responsibility to give you what you need to be well.
Absolutely. So we are running out of time, and I'm definitely going to be bringing you on a lot to talk about different subjects because I think it's
I'd be
going to
happy
help
to.
people. Yeah. And, if I can keep them healthy, maybe the insurance company won't do it, but I will. So, that's the way I'm working at it. Tell everybody once again what uh, your Institute of Education is and what can they get from it and how to find it.
Yes, it's the National Institute of Whole Health. We are celebrating our 50th year that we developed 50 years ago whole health and whole health education. And our commitment is to educating people and getting them to own and understand their bodies and how to be well. And the important thing to know is you can find resources. You can. And you can go to our website at niwh.org and find a lot of information. And you can go to the library. There's an articles library that's loaded. And you can send us an email and say, you know what? I really want to know about such and such and such. Where do I go? What can I do? Can you direct me? We're happy to help you. Somebody has to step up and care about people again. I often wonder, does anybody care anymore? No, seriously, it's kind of it's isn't it frustrating? I mean, when you go to your dentist and your doctors and your lawyers and all kinds of people, and they seem to be in a rush and they seem to be concerned with the invoice as opposed to you.
Yep, that is a good point. Absolutely good point. Well, again, Georgiana, thanks for coming on, helping us advocate for our health. It is the most important thing that we do have in life because if we don't have it, we don't have life. So,
That's right.
we gotta be on top of ourselves, and we will be bringing you on a lot more to be discussing a lot more topics with health and wellness.
Well, let me suggest to your listeners, send Emma a note. Say, I'd like to hear about fibroids, or I'd like to hear about, asthma or whatever. Send her a note. Let her know what you want to hear about, and we'll be very happy to support you in your journey to health. Thanks for having me on, Emma. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Georgiana. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We do have to pay bills, but we'll be right back after this with more shows, so don't go anywhere.